Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kate. I am one of the co-founders of Archoral. So today we're going to talk about creating and organizing collections, a new way to think about organizing your media. We're going to spend a little bit more time talking about theory and practice today. We normally spend most of our webinars in the application, which we will towards the end. But today's more about conceptualizing your archive and how to set it up so that it's not only productive in protecting a legacy, but proofing it for a future legacy. So today's agenda, today's agenda, we are going to take a look at what is called a hierarchical file system. Hierarchical file system. I dare you to say that 3 times fast. And what is it? What does it do for you? And what are the shortfalls in it? So once we take a look at it, you go, oh, that's just a really big name for what I already know. But we'll look at what some of the pitfalls are. And to better understand the concept of our choral collections, we're going to have to take a look at how we gather information because it has changed drastically over the last decade or two. Then we're going to take a look at collections in Archoral and a new purpose for subfolders. We're going to look at how to make your archive legacy proof, because don't forget, you're doing all of this wonderful research and collection and curation about the past, but we can't forget that why we're doing this is for the future. So we're going to also look at how file overlap works. There's a certain way that it works in the traditional file system and a brand new way that it works within Archoral, and I think you'll like it. Then we're going to move on over to the application, and we're going to take a quick look at the different ways to create some collections, and we're going to look at moving media. And that's kind of a really important point for how Archoral was designed, how you can move your media and organize it however you want. Okay, so hierarchical file systems. We're just going to call it the HFS. How's that? This is what that is. It is a tree-based file system. And the majority of us that do research do it on the surname level, and then we put people inside of it. You may have your own way, but this concept really just cascades however you use it. So in this particular one, I have a couple of families, and we're going to take a look at Lori, who married Franklin. Now, those are 2 different families in 2 different folders that married each other. Inside Lori's folder, we've got a couple of different subfolders that are the research we've done on her. And since she married Franklin, the census is going to have Franklin in it as well. Even these 2 newspaper articles, and hopefully more than 2 family photos. So what do we do when we're in this file system and we want it to also represent Franklin? Traditionally, we have to duplicate those files and put them in his folder as well, which can lead to mistakes. And if you find some new information on that census, you have to remember each of the places that you put it. So that overlap starts to get really kind of convoluted and messy and increases the storage of the files on your computer if you have to constantly duplicate them. So let's take a step back and look at how we gather information. There are really 2 ways. We've got research and we've got our friends and family. So research, maybe we inherited a whole bunch of hard copy documents, or you go to the city courthouse and they allow you to photocopy but not upload. So you're walking away with a piece of paper. They also get emailed from repositories. We've all done that. We've emailed somewhere and said, can I have the land deed for something? And then you get it in digital form. We also have online sources. We've got DNA tests. We've got Ancestry.com, MyHeritage, Family Search, the Library of Congress, newspapers.com, Fold3. The list is just, what is being made available is just phenomenal. But what that does is make your research come from a million different locations. So friends and family, we have physical items that have been inherited, passed down, or somebody's downsizing and they just don't want it. So they mail it to you. Now we have all these physical items that we need to scan, which includes photos and albums, letters and documents, even diaries if we're lucky, and family heirlooms that tell your stories. We also have the digital items. This is where things have started to change over the last couple of decades. We receive things in text messages, in emails, in social media, and if we're really, really lucky, we get to upload directly from their device. But what this has done is created just this overwhelming mess of media that we then have to figure out how to organize it and connect it to our people. So this is where we rethink media organization and why we call folders collections in Archoral. So your hierarchy, you're going to start with a collection. If you think of folders, things are kind of stuck in there. And in collections, we can make these neat little piles that we can all take a look at and blend together and move around the table. So to us, a collection is just something that's much, much more interactive. So what kind of collections? The first one we're going to start with is our family. We've got all of these family lines that go back for generations and generations, and they can also branch out horizontally depending on how deep we're wanting to go. So generally we start with the surname. Obviously, start with however you want to do it. But what's really unique about Archoral is there's a whole bunch of stuff that I may not want to look at when I'm just going through my family history, when I'm just going through that reminiscing with mom over photos. So what do we do then? Topic collections. We have personal. So maybe you and your dad restored Mini Coopers. So you've got a car collection. Family heirlooms. Who wants to be clicking through the pictures of Christmas time and up come forks and plates? But if you want to do a little bit of research on your family heirlooms, you want them all in one spot. Maybe your uncle was an artist and he had an art collection. These are all personal things that are physical items. What about businesses? United States is completely full of family-owned businesses. So what if you had a furniture company and you wanted to look at all of the people that worked for you, your designers, you wanted to take a hold of the sketches for the furniture designs all the way through building, all the way through it being placed in your customer's home. Horse stable. I mean, who doesn't love a horse, right? But you've got people that work, you've got trainers, you've got veterinarians, you've got people that actually work the ranch itself, you've got all the races that your horses are in. So this is all part of what I call the texture of life that is not necessarily the birth, marriage, children, and death, that is typical family research. Florist. Think about the impact a florist has on a community. The amount of information that's there on weddings and funerals and birthdays and graduations, the records that are inside a floral, whether you actually own the company or you're just researching your community, what an amazing resource. Organizations. If you have a youth group, who were the people that were part of it? What were the events that were going on there? Maybe a community center, the impact that it's had, the people that have had an impact on the community center, and religious establishments. These are another big piece of our collective history. So what I'm trying to show you is that, yes, you can archive your family, but you can also archive your community and find those connections without blending together and interrupting the flow of looking at one or the other. And the great thing is your collections can be opened together. So if you want to open two families that also had the horse stable and were part of the community center, you can open them all together. They're not stuck in those folders and segregated from each other. They start to work like a community. So what about the subfolders? They're still very useful. We just need to look at them differently to make them legacy proof. So remember we looked back at how we collect our media, the way that we've really been thinking about things is collecting the past and organizing the past. But again, you want to pass this on, right? So how do we make it legacy proof? So to us, subfolders take on a whole new purpose. We've got vintage collections that we're dealing with. We also have modern collections. So in our vintage collections, we're going to look at the Fritz family. Vintage to me is all about being able to go back and find that original, find that hard copy, and be able to hold that cabinet card or that tintype or that birthday card. So this is just an option of you can put it where you are storing the media, the photo albums that they came from, the external drives that they were uploaded from. So you've got your analog turned digital, and you can still go back to the source. But when it comes to modern collections, we aren't making analog media anymore. So I think we really need to rethink how we organize in the digital world. So if I take a look at the Fritz family again, and I've got some family members, their media is going to start coming from places like iCloud photos, Google Photos, school records. I remember when my mother gave me that file folder from my childhood that had every report card, every detention slip, had my history in it physically, and she just dropped it in there. Well, nowadays we're getting them emailed to us, and they're getting lost in the digital void. So our whole world is coming at us digitally. Even if we look at Lori, and she's got her ancestry documents, her MyHeritage documents, she's got her diary in a Word document. That is all something we need to think about. How do we do that? So if you take a look down there at Lori, her subfolders are listed as of with a date. So whenever I go to my mom's house, her phone is automatically synced to the cloud account. So I can go on her laptop, pull up app.archoral.com, log in, and pull mom's iCloud into the archive so that it is not lost to the ether. So by doing as of a certain date, Google Photos and iCloud is just a roll-on sentence. It's a sentence with no punctuation. By saying I'm doing it from this date back, you know that you're not duplicating and you're not missing your images. This is also a great way when you save things from your text messages, when you save things from your social media, you're getting them all in almost chronological order right then and there. So how do we make this whole thing a legacy archive? So we have to have the ability to hold any current file structure. Now, it doesn't have to be the storage structure that I spoke about. It can be any folder structure. I don't want you to redo anything that you've done. We can take it and make it amazing. So if you have it by surname, if you have it by storage location, or if it's just a total mess, we can take it and we can help you organize it through indexing. Then we need the ability to grow for generations. So remember I mentioned that what we look at so much is going backwards. We look at our heritage. But honestly, we're creating history right now. Every day that we wake up, we are creating our own history. So we are eventually going to be one of those nodes. And if you think about all of the people that are going to come after us, where's your archive going to go? Who's it going to live with? It's going to cascade back out the other direction. So let's go back and look at that Fritz family. We have the vintage. That's a subfolder with subfolders and subfolders. Then I have a Fritz family from 1945 to present, and these are the family members. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a collection that's going to be able to have all of the generations that go all the way down. So what about that media that connects to the multiple people that we saw earlier? What do we do with that? Well, we are profile, not tree-based. So normally you take a family tree and you're looking at your family, and it's traditionally biological, and you have to find them in the order that you find them. But we're profile based. So really you can gather your entire community in any order that you find them. And it's not going to convolute
the rest of your archive. So you can start looking at that full environment. We have thousands of different combinations. So it's not just your family of the half, the step, the blended, the guardianships, all of that, but it's also your friends, your coworkers, your classmates. It goes on and on and on from there. So that when you're looking at your environment, it all starts to make sense. And think about when you're digitizing things from that florist or things from that community center. By not being tree-based, you can take the whole thing in and do with it as you please. So being media-based, we're life beyond folders. Your collections are interactive with each other. That's a key point. They're interactive with each other and with profiles. So our collections we looked at can be either family or topic driven. Our subfolders can be how you gathered it, its storage location, when you uploaded it. But as long as you index it back into those profiles, the whole thing just starts to really work in this whole cyclical manner. So remember that overlap that we talked about, how we solve it? Here's all those overlapping collections, and they can live where they live. But the media that needs to be connected to Carrie gets connected in her profile through indexing. All right, so with that, we're going to take a little bit look at our application. So this is Archoral, and this is where I throw in that public service announcement that this is an AI family archive that we use specifically for training purposes. It keeps my family safe, and it allows me to take these guys on any journey we need to help you learn and utilize Archoral. So in my own archive, these numbers are astronomical, but AI driven, you're going to see some cartoons. So let's take a look at what we're talking about here. We're talking about media. So this My Media is going to land on everything in your archive. Your recent uploads is going to keep things kind of by folder as you go. Unassigned media makes your little kitty cat angry. That means you haven't put it anywhere, but we still have it and it's still connected and it's still indexable. We've got some favorites, and then here we are in collections. Now, you're able to set a cover photo for any of these that you want. You can make it more visual, make it more understandable. So here you'll see I've got a couple of families, but I've also got a wedding business. I've got some artwork. I've got a community center. I've got a farmstead. And then I go back to family. So if I were to put that community center underneath the Oken family, who ran the community center, my collection stays by branches and it can grow without getting messy. Or maybe this golden hour memory photos is just one of the community businesses that I knew had a bunch of documents and information about our community marital records, events, dates, times, brides, grooms, all of that fun stuff. So I digitize them, but I don't want them blended in with my family. So there's all kinds of ways to go about this. Now, one of the other things that makes collections so very different from that HFS file system that we saw earlier, with that traditional file system, if you move and reorganize your photos, those links get broken. So if you have documents where you have hyperlinked things back and forth to try and tell the story, you have to update and modify those links every time you move them. But since we are profile and media based, that is not a problem because you're indexing information directly to that piece of media. So if I go in here to the Lang family and I decide that I want to move this one piece of media, I can move it into any collection, any subfolder. I can move it anywhere that I want, and all of its connections stay intact. So organized to your heart's content. That's another thing that makes it a legacy application is set it up for how it works for you. And then your next generation can move it around and set it up how it works for them without destroying any of the hard work that you've done. So there's a lot of ways to create collections.
all over the place. We like to have a million different ways to do things, but I'm just going to show you the one main one. We're going to upload some media today. So we've come here to this, and I am going to do that little wizard trick so that I can show you. Here we've got the Fritz family. And then I've got folders and I've got subfolders and I've got subfolders. We can go 20 levels deep in your subfolders. And if you notice, I have Fritz family. Then I have by surname of the husband, his birth year, and then I will close it out with the death year of the last person that was part of that family branch. That's just me. Do it however you like. That's what we're here for. So what I have is my master folder, and then it's full of subfolders galore with a whole bunch of media and all of your research. And you're like, I don't want to drag all this stuff in and organize it myself. Please don't. Please take that master. Please take that master, drag it right on over, and drop it. Now, keep in mind, it's an AI archive, so this doesn't have the hundreds of thousands of pieces of media that I have painstakingly collected. This just has a little bit in there so that I can show you how your file folder system stays intact. So what you've already done, boop, right into Archoral, good to go. So while our upload finishes, we're going to close that. So now what it says is I've got 14 photos and none of the other media, but I've got 10 subfolders. So this, again, for me to show you how this all worked out. So they're all still here. They're all still intact. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click organize. Now, if you do organize later, it's all just going to go to your unassigned media. So go ahead and organize it now. Get it out of the way. I'm going to click organize. And again, my file folder structure has stayed intact. Everything's there. I'm going to click select all. It's going to select the main and all of its insides. And I don't have a Fritz family. So I'm going to create a new collection. And I'm going to say Fritz family. I can give it a description if I want. Description is really kind of great when you're doing a community archive. And click create. Now I'm going to select it. Now look here. You can add a new folder if you want what you just uploaded to actually be a subfolder inside the collection. So you can even take it and go down a level if that's what helps you bring in your stuff. I'm just going to click Move Media. Look at that. All done, all organized. So I'm going to finish it. And then I'm going to take a look at the uploaded media. Going to come to my collection. Here's my Fritz family. I haven't given it a cover photo yet, but if I double click it, it's going to show me all the subfolders that are in there. Ta-da! So imagine when you're going through that and I have Sophia with her education, I can have all the other ones too. Her education has high school graduation. It can also have elementary school, preschool, college. You can go on and on and on. And all of these pieces of media, when you index them, work together. So we're getting a little short on time, but I want to show you just my one quick example of how the media works together. And then we'll start closing out our time. So this is my Caleb. And in his timeline, I have the birth of his son, Nathan. Now, those of you that come to our webinars often, I know I need to get a new example. This one's just so built up. It's pretty. So I have the date, the title, and the location. When I go to I connected it to I gave it a title, a date, connected it to his location, and some of his people. And it's got a whole bunch of media attached to it. So when I go into the indexer, there's all the media. organized by photo, document, video, and audio. But if I go to his wife, Alicia's got a different last name. She would have come from a different collection. Her family is being kept somewhere else. But I connected that to her when I created it in Caleb's profile. All I did was link it all. So it's one set of media, not duplicated, not copy and paste into a whole bunch of folders. It's just linked. So again, if I have a piece of media in here that I go, ooh, that's in the wrong collection, I can move it and it maintains all of its connectivity as far as its indexing. Then you just modify and tweak as you want. It can also, since I connected it to a location, there's our Mueller farmstead. And a farmstead lives for centuries, not decades. And there's the birth of Nathan. So there's the history of everything attached to that farmstead. So that's what I mean by being able to make it a legacy archive, and how you can group things not only for historical purposes, but also to future-proof for the people that you leave your archive to. So what we went over today is that file system that is static and independent, but necessary, because that's where we've gotten to from the advent of computers to today. We looked at how we gather information and how modern technology has not only increased the sources, but changed the way we need to think about organizing that information. So one example would be my mom's photos that I log in. If I would have dropped each one of those photos into an event, into my nephew's wedding, into my brother's birthday, into, my mom's church events, I wouldn't have had that as of date to know when I last went to upload her media, because it would be scattered in those subfolders. And by uploading it to an as of date, I have everything. I know when I did it, and then I can index the media to that wedding, to my brother's birthday, to my mom's church, and not lose track of where I was in the digital world. So we took a look at the collection structure, how you can really make collections however works for you, because don't forget, we can open collections together. So in a file system, you open one, you go through it, you close it, you open the other one, you go through it, you close it. Collections you can open together and work on them simultaneously. We looked at our new purpose for subfolders, preserving the past and preparing for the future, how the file overlap works, how you can move and reorganize to your heart's content. Either you can or your future generations can, and nothing gets destroyed. Mainly, organize in a way that works for you. Once you index the media to the profiles, it all becomes interrelated and cyclical. So it's really just about archiving, right? It's about preserving it. So this is our QR code. We are built for you guys. We are listening at archoral.com. We love comments, we love questions, we love interactions. This QR code will get you straight to our login, and come play. All right. Well, I appreciate all of you joining us. And honestly, it's a new way to think about things, and we're well aware of that. So we're here to help, reach out, and someone will absolutely be more than happy to sit with you and help you customize your archive, help you in any way that we can. And if there's anything that we don't do that you want us to do, let us know. And that can be Laverne's punishment for not showing up today. I'll make her code more stuff. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much, and happy archiving.